Hello everybody, in this video we're looking at a Java application that is doing read and write operations to a MySQL database, and we are actually calling that Java application or that server or that software, and we're doing get requests, post requests, like we are getting users from the database, and we are adding new users to the database via this Java application. So this database, this MySQL database, is in a Docker container running on my computer, and this Java application is running as a Java application. It's not Dockerized, but that could be improved as an additional step. And I'm using curl or my browser to use that service that is provided in this Java application. So let's look at a quick demo, and then after the demo we're going to build that application from scratch, and you're going to see how I using which resources and which materials to build that application. So let's go into the demo. So I am calling first the demo all endpoint. This demo all endpoint returns me the items from the database. You see it has an ID, a name, and an email key value pairs, and I also have a workbench. MySQL workbench it's basically a GUI or a UI, a user interface to connect to a database, to the MySQL database, and look at the server status. And here you can see it's running and has some metrics, how much traffic, etc. But you can also do queries and perform queries like this one: select everything from the database db example.user, and you're going to get those items that are stored in the database currently. So same results as we saw here. And the second endpoint is this one, demo add. Demo all returns all items from the database, and demo add adds a new item into the database, and we can demonstrate that. For example, hello name, some name, and then hello, my email provider hello.com, and it returns saved. And this will if you execute the all endpoint, then you see again the new all the data, all the items that are stored in the database, including our new item. You can of course run this command here as well, demo all, to see the JSON objects. Okay, cool. So now we saw the application. We saw maybe you can also look into the code, Visual Studio Code that's here. The application is running as a Java as a Maven project, and this is the Spring Boot application that is already running, that I'm executing, calling. But now let's look into the code and start from zero, and you can see how I can connect to the database. So let's cancel that. And so in my previous videos you saw that I created a Spring Boot application, so check it out if you want to set up a Spring Boot application. And now the next step would be basically Spring Boot connect to MySQL, just searching for this, and then you'll find some page. Spring IO pages are really interesting and useful. So this example shows you what you need, and there's a guide, and there's also this GitHub repository, and this is where I took the code from that I'm demonstrating here. So let's do that from scratch and see how that works. Git git clone and then gs accessing data MySQL new. That will be cloned into that folder. And if I open this in Visual Studio Code, then yes, I trust, then we see in initial folder. So the initial folder is the guide that you can follow here with this guide basically and do all the steps. That's also what I suggest and highly recommend to learn more. And there's also a complete folder here, and that is the one that I'm going to show you. So this is the folder, and in the complete folder we have the POM XML, and yeah, we're going to our, that's the wrong one, JS new. Oh, wait, here it is. The same new, and here into the complete folder, Maven package, to package the application and create a jar file, and then calling that jar file, Maven Spring Boot run, should run the application. And yeah, that fails. So here it says, so even the complete part is failing, complete part of that GitHub project. So it says class not found, and if you Google that, you see yeah, and then you find here this Stack Overflow page where it says if you're using Maven, add this to your POM XML. So MySQL connector Java is missing. So for my case, I'm running a MySQL 8. Let me show you that as well. Like if you go into the Docker container, some MySQL, and then bin bash, executing bash into that container, and then you can see MySQL version is a 8 and my Java version is 17. So I'm just copying this one and adding it to my POM XML, save, and then if I package the application again to add the new dependency and run it again, it should run successfully. Yeah, now it's running, and you can test again the application because it connects to the same database that it's running. But now we should also terminate that Docker container. So here we want to like show you, I want to show you everything from scratch. So let's remove this, some MySQL, and force it. Okay, and like now the application is not able to connect. Let's do the test. So now it's loading here. At some point it should time out, and you should see some error page. And the reason is because we don't have the database anymore. So let's try to set up the database again. Like, you should use, like, search for Docker and then MySQL, then you should find the MySQL Docker Hub page. And then you have here this command. Let's execute this. And yeah, I have it also already pulled on my machine. And then somewhere it says how to run this container. And as a tag, it should use latest, and you should also port forward the right port to your host machine, and that's 3306. You can Google like MySQL port. It's 3306, and now the application should be able to connect to the database. I'm not sure if there is error handling implemented, but let's just kill the application and run it again. If we do this one, it should be able to connect. If we are in this, interesting. Let's package and run it again. Oh, access denied. Okay, interesting. So this is because we need to give some access to the application. So first you have to go through this guide here to create a database and then give permission to the Spring user application. So for that, I'm logging in to the database via the do I have the Docker exec somewhere? Yeah, here. And here you log into the database, and the password is here, my secret password. And the next step would be create a database called DB example, and then create the user with a password and grant that user access to the DB example table. Okay, that's it. We created the database table and created the user with a password and granted access or permissions for that user to access that table. And in MySQL Workbench, the UI to connect to the database, we connect again my secret PW, and this page should, it's running again. Cool. We should have no users actually, because we deleted it. Why does it show some data here? That's weird. Probably because I didn't remove and delete all the previous data from that container, so it probably has the data. But we can also do a curl here on localhost to see if that one was cached. No, it's 8080, sorry. 8080. Connection refused. Because we are not running the application. Maybe Spring Boot run. Now it should connect to the database because we gave him the permissions. Yes, it is. And if we do the curl localhost 8080 demo all, then it gives a 0 empty list. And here actually it should do the same. Yeah, here it was just not performed. So we don't have any items in the database. And now the next step is basically adding some data to the database. Localhost 8080 and then demo all. Oops. As mentioned and shown in curl as well, we don't have any data, but curl, like there's a add command here at the end of this guide. You just use this one, copy and paste, and this should add the new data. And here you can see it, as well as here probably. Yeah, here. Cool. I just summarize again. We have a Java application built with the Spring Boot framework. As a user, we are running curl requests or browser requests. Browser is doing also get requests, but we also use curl to do post requests. And the Java application is doing read and write operations to the MySQL database. The MySQL database is Dockerized or running as a Docker container. And all of that is on a Linux machine, on my Ubuntu system. And this can be also Dockerized at some point. Like you could have the Java application as a Docker container as well, as an improvement, future improvement. But for simplicity, I just showed the Java application without Docker. Yeah, that's it. And we can also look a little bit into the code here to show you. In the source Java folder, we have a main controller. First of all, we have a main function here, and then we have a Spring Boot controller with the endpoint, demo, add, and all. All is doing a find all function on the user repository, and the add endpoint is adding a new user object into the user via the user repository. And user repository, you can see it's just an auto implementation by Spring, using the bean, using as a bean basically, and that's called user repository. And this is doing create, read, update, delete operations, the CRUD operations basically. It talks to the database and is doing those operations. And user is just a class that has some attributes like ID, name, and table that are going to be added into the database. So that's actually it. You can check it out on GitHub. And yeah, if you like this video, please like and subscribe and comment. And see you in the next video. Bye bye.